Hey guys, thanks for joining me for another Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia video, and today it is that time of the month once again to do another BT token guide. So in these videos I talk about kind of relevant characters during this time period, during this month. If you're someone who's coming up on 50 BT tokens, just to give you advice as to what are some of the best, most meta relevant characters to use them on. One thing to always keep in mind when choosing your BT character, you want a character that either you have the LD for already, or the LD will be obtainable and you're planning to at least pull for that LD. A BT character without an LD, odds are, won't really be worth running. You really want to have the whole kit, so please keep that in mind. The other thing when choosing your character, your top priority should be choosing favorite characters or characters you're going to use a lot. Every character that I talk about in these videos, they're all viable, they're all good enough to run. So you're going to get the most use out of your tokens if you're picking a character that you are using a lot. So first up, we are going to talk about, and once again, this is going to be for the month of June. So these are either characters that banners will still be around in June, or banners that will be coming out in June. And I will also talk about just some older characters in case you happen to get the LD and not the BT, who are still very good and worth running, right? So first up, we're going to talk about Sephiroth, Vincent, and Jegren. So Sephiroth is a very good, unique BT effect to get if you want to abuse it. He does have a combo with Ida that you can really abuse if you want to play that route. A lot of players don't like using it because they feel like it's kind of cheating the game. It's not really like playing the game. If you're someone that likes to do the Ida Roth combo is what it's called, Ida and Sephiroth, you could do that. Or you could just get Sephiroth and just use him naturally. You don't have to do that combo with Ida, and he's still a very cool character. And I know there's going to be a lot of fans of Sephiroth out there. So I'm going to say if you're a big fan of Sephiroth, like, yes, his BT would definitely be worth getting. He's a lot of fun. Basically, what his BT effect does is after every turn, the enemy's Brave is reset to 1, which is really abusable because it's essentially unbreaking them so that you can just keep breaking the enemies over and over and over and over again. You can combo this with turn hoggers or somebody like Ida, who just consistently gets free turns after breaking, and she just does infinite loop combos. But yeah, Sephiroth's like very unique setting Brave to 1 BT effect is actually very, very good. So if that sounds good to you, then go ahead and grab Sephiroth. Vincent, another fan favorite that a lot of people will like. Now, Vincent was a global first LD, and he was okay on release. The problem with him was he was on the cusp of, oh gosh, I'm trying to remember if it was, I think it was C80 had like just come out, but he didn't get a C80 right away, or it was like one of those upgrades he didn't get right away, and a lot of people were upset by that. But they made him, he was decent enough as he came out, but after his BT, he's actually pretty solid and does a lot of damage. So Vincent's main gimmick is that he does a lot of debuffing. So if you like the idea of really locking your opponents down with debuffs, Vincent definitely would be the person for you. His BT effect even more cripples the enemies. So if you really like the idea of basically making so the enemies can barely do damage to you through debuffing, then Vincent could be a good one to pick. He also has very powerful follow-up attacks from his LD. So he's a very powerful, he can do a lot of damage, but he's really like a utility debuff type character. So once again, if you like that, now you have to be careful running a main debuffer like Vincent because enemies are only allowed to hold so many debuffs. So you just have to think carefully about your team comps. You can't put a bunch of debuffers together because then they're going to keep trying to override each other. So just keep that in mind. He's a little bit maybe trickier to play because of that. But if you like him, Vincent is also a great pickup. Jegren, we don't talk about Jegren. Jegren notoriously, like upon release, is probably the worst BT character in the game. His C90 makes him a little bit better, but like he's not groundbreaking. Jegren is one I would just recommend people pretty much stay away from, and I doubt that there's going to be a lot of fans of Jegren because he's like a villain from a pretty odd Crystal Chronicles game that a lot of you probably haven't even played. So Jegren, unless for some reason you really like him, I would probably just avoid that one. Here's some of the newer ones. Well, the top two are going to be like probably two of the more popular ones. So we've got Prish, we've got Yuna, and then we've got the twins, which is a returning BT. Prish is very intriguing. Prish is one that I'm personally going to go all in on, I think. I think I do want a green Prish. I'll have to check my materials, though, if I have enough to even do it. But Prish, for me, is just a favorite. Like, I've really liked her in this game. And I like the fact that she's getting a BT plus and is going to be actually quite good. Prish is really like all about damage and brave hits. Brave hits is really her gimmick. She also has some elements in her kit, and she does imperil for those elements. So the one downfall of Prish is if an enemy maybe absorbs one of her elements, that could cause a wrench in your plans, but you could work around it because you can select which element you're kind of attacking with based on the way her combos work. She's a very combo built character where like every time you attack with the 15 or 35, then the 15 and 35 change to another attack. So she kind of has like 4 different attacks. There's like 2 15s and 2 35s. She is kind of a speedy character where she gets a lot of free turns or like fast turn rate attacks, so she can go very, very quickly. She does a lot of damage. Now, her burst effect is very cool. What it does is, so within her own kit, she has things that make it so every time she does a brave hit, she gets an additional brave hit. So basically, you're doubling the brave hits. So it makes brave shaving very easy and allows you to like cap on your brave very easily. Her BT effect does that for the whole party, among other like auras and buffs that you typically would get. But the whole party basically is going to be doubling their brave hits. So if you like brave damage comps and you really like to brave shave and like a really powerful damage dealer, Prish definitely could be a very fun pickup for you. Yuna is one that I would probably highly recommend, especially if you are lacking a support type character. Yuna's gimmick is she can very easily remove debuffs. She has a lot of cleansing. She has healing in her kit. She can do pretty decent damage as well. Her burst effect is a very powerful like aura type support burst effect. The one downfall of Yuna is that to get the full effect of her burst, your party cannot have any debuffs on. So if you're running a boss that is very much about debuffing you and they're doing it often enough that you can't like stay cleansed constantly, that can be something that is a downfall to Yuna, whereas there are other support characters where you don't really have to worry about that. You just have the support. So it's up to you, but if you're a fan of Yuna, she is quite powerful, and to me, it's very useful to have a cleanse type character, because some of the harder fights in the game are ones where enemies put very powerful debuffs on you that you want to get rid of quickly, right? So Yuna can be a very useful character for you there. Then we have the twins. The twins gimmick has always been just very powerful AoE damage. Basically, when they released for several months, they were the strongest AoE damage dealers in the game. Their big downfall is their damage drops significantly if you are only facing single target. So they're best in 3 target fights. So their usage might be a little bit more limited, but in those types of battles, they excel like crazy. They do have a couple elements in their kit, so if you like elemental damage, that's another thing there. But twins are all about like mega huge AoE damage, right? Okay. Then we have, this one's actually coming out in May, like very, very soon, or it should be. It's scheduled to come out in May. But there should be a triple BT banner coming with Noel, Noctis, and Locke. Now, in here, somebody was already asked me, like, should I summon on this triple BT banner? It's really up to you with these 3 guys here if you want to summon on their banner or if you want to go for their BTs. I'll just quickly summarize them. But Noctis, basically, his gimmick is he does a lot of turn warping. And what he does is he gives the party the ability for, like, he puts like a 2-turn buff on your party that makes it so after they act, they will jump in front of the enemy. So basically, and you don't take turns during those turns. So Noctis is infamous for allowing teams to do 0-turn runs and things like that. But Noctis can do those shenanigans where you can just force yourself in front of the enemy quite a bit and you can run that loop for quite a while. He does a lot of follow-ups after his own attacks. His burst effect, it's very similar to like a Cloud of Darkness type burst effect, where when that burst effect is on, he follows up all of your attacks. So if you like those follow-up characters that you really like to abuse, so like if you like using characters like Terra and you want more follow-up characters to pair with her, Noctis could really work great there. Noel is all about re-breaking enemies or instant breaking, unbreaking, all that stuff. So he does a lot of breaking and then delaying through break. So if you really like that, Noel does also have an E-slot sphere, so he's one of the best candidates in the game for Vanille Sphere. So if you go for Noel, you would have a very good like unbreak, re-break character that is constantly dispelling the enemy or taking off their buffs, because Vanille Sphere will allow him to do that. So he could be very good if you like that. He gets a lot of power in his EX. That's where his million plus damage comes from. Then we have Locke. Locke is definitely my favorite out of this batch. I'm probably a little biased because I like Final Fantasy VI, but I think Locke also has the most useful burst effect. Noel and Oh gosh, already Noctis, Nola and Noctis. Their burst effects are a little bit more generic, but like Locke's is ridiculously impressive burst effect. His burst effect allows the entire team to ignore defense, which is ridiculously powerful because in a lot of the harder Lufenia Plus fights, the enemies get very, very bulky, very, very tanky, and basically having Locke's burst effect up means you're always just doing max damage anyways. You can almost think of it as like Setzer's rainbow numbers. It's a little bit different, but it's basically allowing the party to hit very hard. Lock also allows the party to like automatically heal above 50% if their HP drops below 50%. He has healing in his kit. He has very powerful, strong attacks himself. Just Locke is still a very, very good character. You can tell I like Locke just a little bit, right? I've got an Ultima weapon on him, fully maxed out, blue armor. He's got a green burst. So yeah, I'll be honest. I'm probably a little bit more biased towards Locke, but he's someone I would highly recommend to anybody just because his burst effect is like top notch. Um, Now we're going to talk about just a few older characters or a couple characters that just released. So we have Garnet. And Garnet is one of those characters I have literally talked about nonstop since the 4th anniversary. Um, she's a character that kind of broke the game. They like to do this with anniversary characters. They did it with Aranea. Aranea like broke the game for months. That's kind of what Garnet is. She is breaking the game still to this day. The anniversary was what, back in January or February, and in my opinion, Garnet is still the single best character in the game. If you ask me to produce the best team in the game right now, Garnet is still the first character I put on the team. So she will be my number one recommendation this month, and the reason why as well. I know I've been recommending her on my other videos, and the caveat to that, or the kind of the thing you're not really sure about is, well, do you have the LD, right? That's kind of the problem that a lot of people have is that her LD hasn't been available, right? So what's really cool is if we follow the JP timeline, her LD is set to return in June. Now, the one thing that I would caution you about with that is that we don't know if they're going to change that slot or not. They very easily could change it because the thing is even at this time in JP, Garnet hadn't gotten a BT yet. She was a ridiculously early like BT C90 rework character, right? So the banner she was on, there was no intent of there being a BT on that banner, or she wasn't the BT on that banner. So there is a chance that they either don't do put her on that banner, or if they do, it's just her LD and not the BT. I think the likely scenario is they do keep the banner the same. It'll just have her LD on it, but no BT. But if you have the BT tokens, then you could get her and then have a chance to get the LD. You might need to wait on it though, because like I said, there's no guarantee she's coming back in June, but she did in according to JP's timeline in that slot, she would be back in June. So Garnet definitely could be a pickup. For those of you that aren't familiar, she's just like ridiculous auras, allows your party to do so much HP damage. She's got HP damage cap up. She's got all kinds of auras that make your party a lot better. She has very powerful follow-ups. She can heal. She just does everything. She's got elemental damage. Her battery is really, really, really good. Her burst effect is really good for like auras. And then when her burst effect ends, it turns into a gold frame buff that is still a very, very good buff. And then you can have the gold frame buff up and use the other burst phase and then have the burst phase with the gold buff. And yeah, Garnet is crazy. She's really, really, really good. She's the best character in the game. She still is after months after release. So Garnet will be my number one recommendation. Snow and Ishtola are characters that like literally just came out. Snow, I just did a video on him. If you want to watch, you can check it out. Ishtola, I also have a video on her. Just to summarize, Snow's BT effect allows the party to do like insane brave damage up, brave damage cap up, brave gains. You can make some shenanigans if you're bringing like brave gain calls and stuff, where like you're basically above brave cap and you're doing like insane damage because your cap is so high, and then your brave basically doesn't go down if you set it up right. So if you really like abusing that, Snow is also a very good tank and helps your party stay alive. So if you like tank type characters, Snow could be very good as well. Ishtola is a very, very, very good support character. She's got a little bit of delay in her kit. She's got some instant break in her kit. She's got healing in her kit. Some fairly strong Brave Attack Plus attacks that she has in her kit, and then really good auras from her BT effect and just from her kit in general. She also is one of the few characters in the game that has like a nice revive mechanic where she can revive your party, which is very, very good, and like full heal also. Some characters that revive, like your party will come back, but they'll have like no health. Ishtola is like full revive, full health, Doesn't affect your score, so you can still like get all the missions done if you have to revive. So Y'shtola is very, very good at that. So that's my quick summary of the character. So the part you're all waiting for, well, who should I get? Who would I recommend? So I've kind of talked about this a little bit. In general, guys, I would actually recommend support characters over DPS characters. DPS characters are a lot more common. There are some very good DPS characters that are just LD only characters. It is nice to have a good DPS, though, that is a burst, because you want to have someone to be your burst phase character, right? So it's going to depend on your roster. You might already have a good DPS burst character, so that would maybe lean more support. You might already have a bunch of support characters, right? So then maybe you would want to lean more going for a DPS, right? So my number one overall pick to use your burst tokens on are Garnet. Once again, the condition here is that you either have her LD already or that her LD actually does come back, or you want to take the risk that it's coming back and you can pull for it later, depending on how long you can hold on to your tokens for. If you're planning to go for Garnet, if your tokens won't expire, I would try to wait at least until like mid-June. Or actually, we've got a community stream coming up on the 23rd. So by the time this video goes up, the community stream probably already happened, but I might put this video up a little bit sooner. I might actually put this up on Monday of the community stream. So if this video goes up after the community stream, don't like look at me like I'm stupid. I recorded this before the community stream. I'm actually recording it on Sunday. The community stream is going to happen literally tomorrow, the day that I'm recording this. But they hopefully would reveal whether Garnet is coming back or not. So check the community stream. They don't always talk about everything though, so even if they don't announce it, it doesn't mean she's not coming in June, so keep that in mind as well. But think about that. So Garnet would probably be my number one. Number two pick out of all of these characters, looking at them once again, I would say my number two pick would probably be Yuna. Yuna is really, really good support character, very good damage, like her burst effect. To me, like Yuna, and then I would put Y'shtola right there. So I'm going to say Garnet, Yuna, Y'shtola. And the reason why is, like I said, I very heavily value support characters. One, they're splashable. You can put them on almost any team comp. They're always going to help you. Immediately means they're going to get a lot of use, and you're going to get a lot of use out of your burst token, right? You could pick one of these dime a dozen DPSs like Noel, right? You might use him a little bit when he comes out, but like there's other DPSs you're going to play with and try around. Odds are you're going to cycle them out at some point, whereas your supports, you always need a support on your team. So those are going to be my top three choices. Now, if you are looking more the DPS route, I still like Locke. Locke, because he's got the utility, he's more than just DPS. But Locke would be like my top tier damage dealer pick probably right now for you guys if you want somebody like that, just because he's doing way more for the party than say like Noel or Noctis will do. So I would say Locke is definitely high up there. I think Prish is a really good pick, but that might be more because she's like a favorite of mine, but her damage output is pretty darn impressive. So if you want just like pure damage, Prish could be a good pick as well. Other than that, it's pretty much going to be up to you. Snow's a fantastic pick. I mean, every character I've talked about here is a good pick. Jegren I would avoid, though. I don't think he would be a good pick for your BT tokens. Now, there are other characters that I haven't talked about, like, because there's a whole roster of BT characters. So if there's a character you're just curious about, feel free to let me know in the comments who you're thinking about. Something you guys can always do is, let's say you really love Warrior of Light. I know we've got some Warrior of Light fans out there. He doesn't have his C90 yet, so he's not like the best right now, but he's still okay because he's got shields. But even if the character isn't good right now, they're getting their rework at some point. So if you just you have your tokens and you know I'm a diehard Warrior of Light fan, I know I'm going to want him, and you have his LD already, sure, pick up Warrior of Light or whatever character that you want that has a BT, right? So anyways, there you go, guys. Those are my picks for June. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.